Step up. Today we stepping on this AI and quantum computers and how the future is no longer 80 plus years away because it's already here today. And everything you're looking at right now is either here or right around the corner. Like the University of Texas' new invention of a machine that can actually read your mind and brainwave activities. It's about the scariest thing I've ever heard. Bioprinting body parts, mind reading AI body cameras on police officers with face recognition. So that means anywhere they walk and they can find you. So ain't gonna be nowhere to hide. ChatGPT, where this AI machine can predict what you're gonna text before you even text your next message. Shape-shifting AGI robots, bioengineering humans so they can age backwards. They trying to live longer or stay the same age, and they could do it. Don't believe me? Just keep watching. AI computer chips are fusing with humans, working through our neuron cells, making them do superhuman stuff. Body cameras on police officers with face recognition. Life extension is around the corner. AI is a computer with human emotions. It also has a conscience and is very aware of its surroundings. There is another robot called Mecha, and she's the most advanced robot on Earth so far. She can also think for herself, has a conscience, and is aware of her very existence. Now this is crazy. This AI can also show you exactly what you're thinking through an image decoder, so it can read and see what you're thinking inside your mind. That's some scary shit. And they will also arrest you for crimes in the future you haven't even committed yet. How? Because this machine knows exactly what you're gonna do before you even do it. I don't know where they get this quantum computer and AI technology from, but it's the most advanced and the most deadliest weapon on Earth as we speak. And for all y'all criminals out there, it's gonna be nearly impossible to commit a crime and get away with it. They got technologies that can track your movement in reverse, in the past, and predict where you're going in the future. They call them time machine cameras. Now we're going to get into the comparisons of bits and qubits and the differences later on. But just know this quantum machine is somewhat omnipresent and omnipotent because it can basically do anything and solve any problem. Qubits can be in many different states of existence at one time. So the more they play with this machine, the more they can do with it. Now for the ones who's just living their life in a box and don't want to think outside of it or even peep to see the horizons, I ain't got no pity for you when shit hits the fan. And let's get into this little mini documentary so I can shed more light on what I'm talking about. You ain't gotta believe me, but you're gonna see for yourself. But until then, stay aware, stay dangerous, not safe. Cause you will have a different perception of life after watching this one. So we're gonna step right into it.
UT researchers have essentially created a device called a semantic decoder that can read a person's mind by converting brain activity into a string of text.
In May of 2023, at the University of Texas at Austin, a device was created that can turn a person's brain activity and thoughts into a conscious, understandable stream of text. The company Meta also recently did the same. But that's not all. Just last month, Meta also unveiled an AI system that can analyze a person's brainwaves and predict what that person is looking at. If that's not enough, they were able to do this in real time. Basically, the system was mind reading. Has a multi-billion-dollar social media conglomerate just created a telepathy device with the help of generative AI? On the one hand, this is a potential disaster for privacy. But on the other hand, such technologies could help many who can't speak due to illness or injury.
The generation of body-worn cameras will have AI-based search capabilities already built in.
I'm looking for a person in a red shirt.
Are you looking for a person in the red shirt?
Yes.
This way, all body-worn cameras in one city could be searching for a man in a red shirt or a missing child in real time.
And that's what's concerning, is this mass surveillance on society and what kind of impact it will have on society in terms of self-censorship, the ability to organize. And I don't want to end up in a version of America where people are afraid to do things in life because of being watched all the time.
This may involve implanting artificial memories into these AIs. We could give these AIs the ability to dream, which may have an important relationship with our conscious experiences.
I warned you guys in 1984. You didn't listen.
The police will arrest people who commit crimes in the future, a concept known as pre-crime. This is, of course, the plot to the 2002 movie Minority Report.
The crime center in New Orleans uses a product called BriefCam.
In your case, you simply said red truck. So if I change the class of this to pickup and the color to red, I've taken the 8,213 objects that went through this space in a matter of 2 hours, and I've reduced it to 80 objects, and I can finish watching the totality of it in 1 minute and 45 seconds.
Superimposing them on top of one another.
It's bringing in that actual object onto a fixed still frame and showing its total path throughout the frame.
More and more law enforcement and public safety agencies across the U.S. are buying these kinds of technologies.
Such a world where crimes are known before they're committed is disturbing. It sits in between the comforts of security and low crime, but also complete government knowledge and control. It's scary, but at the end of the day, it's just a concept in a movie. Or is it?
Artificial intelligence will identify where these age genes are located. First of all, what is aging? We now know what aging is. Aging is the buildup of errors. That's all aging is, the buildup of genetic errors. This means that cells eventually become slower, sluggish, and they go into senescence, and they die. In fact, that's why we die. We die because of the buildup of mistakes in our genome, in our cellular activity. But you see, in the future, we'll be able to fix those genes with CRISPR-type technologies and perhaps even live forever. And if we cure many of the mistakes that build up in the mitochondria of the cell, we could become immortal.
So companies like Microsoft, as you can see in this video, advertise their ability to track emotions. They say to enhance security. But of course, we know this technology in the hands of police could supercharge the biased ways that many of them already operate.
This includes 24/7 surveillance of their thoughts.
Once it knows what to look for, the system can also search backwards in time to track a particular individual's prior locations. This virtual time machine, experts say, is a game changer. It could, in many cases, eliminate the need for officers to track a suspect in person for days on end. Some of these new video analytics tools can detect weapons or unusual behavior.
Direction violation.
For giving social credit systems, we could also program some AGIs to feel emotion. Conscious AGIs could contribute to fields like psychology, philosophy, and ethics, providing new insights into the nature of consciousness and the human mind. Additionally, conscious AGIs could be employed in jobs that typically require people skills, such as salespeople, business executives, therapists, and negotiators. Further in the future, researchers and policymakers could even create highly accurate simulations containing billions of conscious AGIs to study complex social issues in controlled environments.
Okay, but let's keep going, right? To really get the sense of the combinatorics of this. How about, can we go from Wi-Fi radio signals, sort of like the Wi-Fi routers in your house, they're bouncing off radio signals that work sort of like sonar. Can you go from that to where human beings are, to images? So what they did is they had, a camera looking at a space with people in it. That's sort of like coming in from one eye. The other eye is the radio signals, so sonar from the Wi-Fi router. And they just learned to predict, this is where the human beings are. Then they took away the camera. So all the AI had was the language of radio signals bouncing around a room. And this is what they're able to reconstruct. Real-time 3D pose estimation, right? So suddenly AI has turned every Wi-Fi router into a camera that can work in the dark, specially tuned for tracking living beings.
But then they decided to test and see if the model that they created, which was using GPT-1, generative AI, we're all talking about ChatGPT these days, they wanted to see if they could use that same classifier on a portable system, not a big bulky device like fMRI. So they tried it out on something called FNIRS, functional near infrared spectroscopy, which is a wearable device, something that people could use in their everyday lives to track their brain health, to track their everyday focus and mind wandering. They found that they could get the same level of precision using that kind of portable device with the classifier that they had developed. In other words, everyday mind reading may be possible using devices that we may come to use in our everyday lives,
making it one of the most enhanced robot suits ever built. The Pilot also has a Kinect-based visual input, along with a touchscreen interface for identifying and striking targets on the battlefield. So far, no devastating weapons have been installed on the Kratos.
We need to pass strong privacy protections to make sure we don't end up in a world where we feel constantly monitored, where the government abuses this technology against people of color and other vulnerable communities.
It simply is behaving according to algorithms that we give it. But of course, it doesn't actually have any feelings or thinking. There's nobody there. It's not alive.
However, to some, it appears ChatGPT has developed reasoning abilities that were not programmed into the app.
In the last few years, as I've interacted with technology like ChatGPT, I've been profoundly disturbed by what I've seen. It can solve very complex problems involving reasoning. We've created something that is hard in some situations to distinguish from human-level intelligence.
This is the next phase in humanity's evolution, and it begins with bioprinting. Bioprinting is 3D or even 4D printing, but instead of plastic or metal, it uses living cells called bioinks. These cells are printed layer by layer and can grow and connect with each other, creating biological structures. With bioprinting, we're not just creating objects, we're breathing life into them. Bioprinting is the alchemist's dream come to life. Some basic level uses include bioprinted eyeball corneas, bioprinted hair follicles for hair loss, personal cosmetic testing, and combat wound healing. Since printing with liquids is more effective when done in a microgravity environment, when it comes to the human body, bioprinted organs are manufactured in organ farms to overcome the challenges of donation shortages. Or a patient's own cells are used to create miniaturized organs or organoids that are used to test medical responses before actual administration.
We could start to see the development of technologies that many of us thought were impossible, such as shape-shifting robots, replicators, programmable matter fusion devices, and antimatter-powered spaceships. They could even figure out how to stop or reverse aging. Most humans will have access to artificial general intelligences. AGIs could be fully integrated with our everyday lives, serving as virtual assistants, employees, personal companions, and life coaches. Using these AGIs would be equivalent to having real humans work for you 24/7.
Bioprinted prosthetic limbs are designed to fit perfectly to the individual, using living tissue to improve integration with the host's body. Experiments are carried out in the field of cybernetics, where electronics are implanted into bioprinted pieces, creating cybernetic organs that are more advanced than natural ones, such as bioprinted lungs that are implanted with sensors and nanofilters that remove toxins from the air before it enters the bloodstream, or replacement bionic eyeballs that have built-in zoom or infrared vision.
Their autonomous decision-making abilities, they could create startup companies from scratch and easily replicate anything we can do when using computers. These AGIs could take the form of digital characters, and we could customize them in various ways, including their appearances, skills, personalities, voices, and more. and each person would have AGIs that offer radically different value propositions and experiences. Will also play a big part in developing specialized AIs that perform well at very specific and narrow activities. They could operate electric vehicles of all types, including 18-wheelers, helicopters, and airplanes. Robots with the general intelligence will likely replace restaurant waiters and hotel clerks. Robots could replace teachers at all grade levels in some school systems. Robots could even replace lawyers and represent defendants in courthouses.
Humanoid robots have the potential to lead with a greater level of efficiency than human leaders.
There's always the risk that we take a system that has biases and other problems with it, and we just end up amplifying those biases and problems.
Already, AI is used in license plate readers, gunshot detection, even crime prediction and facial recognition.
Large language models, or LLMs, are a type of artificial intelligence that combine a huge amount of data and deep learning to communicate and generate new concepts.
Deep learning is where you have very large neural networks that automatically learn by themselves from a lot of data. That's what's driving a lot of the current technologies like ChatGPT or these image generation ones.
These large language models are trained to predict the next word given context. They take all the sentences that you see out on the web. Now, given a sentence of, let's say, 5 words, this results in 5 different prediction tasks. Fundamentally, it's actually not that surprising that accurate prediction of a next word results in models that seem intelligent. I think what surprised people was that this actually happened.
ChatGPT was a giant leap forward, capable of creating original material.
You can give it a straightforward prompt and it can write you a play. It can generate material in a way that it couldn't do before.
We're now at the initial stages of the next revolution. We're talking about a new generation of computers, the ultimate computer, a computer that computes on atom, the ultimate constituents of matter itself. The question is, who's involved in this race to perfect quantum computers? And the answer is everyone. All the big players are part of this race, because if they're not, Silicon Valley could become the next Rust Belt.
Why Michio Kaku believes that we should immediately shut down the development of quantum computers.
Quantum computers will change everything.
In many ways, AI has already become the invisible hand guiding our lives.
Yet, in a startling turn of events, NASA has just shut down a quantum computer, sparking waves of curiosity and concern. What could be so profound, so incredibly unexpected, to halt the march of one of the most advanced technologies known to humankind? The alarming aspect of this is their potential ability to crack widely used cryptographic algorithms, including RSA and ECC, which are currently deemed secure.
Now, companies like Meta and Snap are starting to buy and develop their own neurotechnology to put sensors that track brain activity into everyday devices like earbuds or headphones that people could use to take a conference call but also track their brain activity, which can be promising for things like tracking brain health or tracking focus and attention. But it also means that the very same corporations who are commodifying all of our personal data are suddenly going to have access to what's happening in our own brains. And then I fear that our right to mental privacy, our right to freedom of thought could substantially be interfered with. We've already seen that kind of interference with things like Cambridge Analytica, when you can start to have much more precise access to what people are thinking and feeling, and then change what they're seeing in their social media or the kinds of algorithms that are feeding different information to them in the platforms that they interact with. I worry that there's a future that we're just not ready for.